Good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome you all for the next session on our the continued theme of IoT. So, in this presentation, we'll be talking about the draft policy on Internet of Things by the Indian government. See, IoT is a worldwide phenomenon happening across the world, and Indian government has taken notice of this. Not only it has taken notice of this, it has published a document in which it shows its understanding, its approaches, and how to take advantage at the national and different levels. So in today's presentation, I'll be talking about the salient features of this draft policy, still under consideration by the Indian government. And I will also share some information regarding what are the different audiences for which actually it is aimed at, and what are the benefits, schemes, procedures, and policy implications for each one of them. See, this presentation is based on the draft policy given by the Indian government. The content is actually owned by and provided by the government. So this is actually published on their website, and I am using this presentation, this content only for the presentation purpose. As you probably know, we have started these sessions on Internet of Things for quite some time back, where actually we covered the following things. In the first sessions, we talked about web architecture for Internet of Things. That means how to use existing Internet for conducting the phenomenon of IoT. Then we asked a question of will IoT be secure enough? Because unless you ensure that there is a security and privacy guarantees, participation from the people or industry will not happen. So that was covered in the second session. And then we told you that IoT is a worldwide phenomenon, and there is a lot of scope for different kind of application, whether it's a toothbrush application or it's a sensing application. So that was covered in the session number 3. Followed by that, actually, we covered the research direction of IoT. IoT is actually a happening phenomenon where many engineering disciplines, many basic science disciplines, they are working together in collaboration, independently in silos for developing different applications and solutions. So once this is done, now our next session is all about the document which is released by the government. So the Indian government has noticed that IoT is happening in different countries, and India must also do something in this regard to take advantage. So in line with one of its top most initiatives, the Indian government initiative is to make India digital India. By that, what it means is it want to build a digital infrastructure in terms of basic telephone lines, internet, and other things, so that actually it can increase its control and its service potential to its citizens, and start offering services. So this purpose of this webinar is to create awareness about this draft policy given by the Indian government. So policy statements are made by the government, which is actually shared with the public for discussions and debate and any recommendations and suggestions. So this document is in a draft mode, and it is in the public domain available. Okay, and I also want to cover the salient features of this document, provisions and schemes which can be interested to many people. And the next question is who must be interested in this draft policy, and what are the benefits for each one of them. So being a national policy, the IoT policy is aimed at wide audience. That means its scope is both at national level and also at a global implications, and addresses a variety of issues. In particular, it is relevant to industry because the Indian government has come out with certain schemes which will encourage industries to take advantage of IoT, participate in it, produce products and services in that. And it is also very useful for startups because IoT, like IT in the previous years, actually opens up a new entrepreneurial saga for these startups. Enterprises, IoT gives a new method of doing business and also adding both functionality and productivity to that. Educational institutions, the reason why educational institutions are included in this policy statement is Indian government would like to share certain work through collaboration and other activities. So the R&D part of this can be taken by educational institutions. And it also come out with some schemes for the faculty. For example, there is a faculty chair possible to be established in one of the IITs or other institutes, so that faculty can participate in that. And it also encourages students to come out with research paper, present in international conference for which there is a financial fund aiding. And it also helps researchers because if you have been doing some kind of a research in the areas of wireless network and all, and if it is related to IoT, the government will give certain kind of funds. The draft document has the following sections. it starts with a preamble. So preamble is a place where the Indian government tells you what is the understanding of IoT from its perspective, what are the approaches it is taking towards it, what is the what is the significance it has found in IoT, and what are the different means through which actually it want to achieve this. See, preamble is a statement which actually establishes the context for the things that we are going to do. For example, if you remember, if you have you ever seen this Indian Constitution, it also has a preamble. So preamble is a place where you establish a context. In this draft policy, there is a preamble. And after that, actually, the Indian government also gives a definition of what is IoT according to it, a very comprehensive definition. And once preamble and definitions are there, then it provides you a vision. That means how does Indian government sees the phenomenon of IoT, and how does it find relevant to Indian context, and what is the advantages it want to take out of IoT for itself and its citizens, and what are the initiatives that it is taking to realize them. Then it comes with the objectives. Objectives are the short-term goals which Indian government has decided to take in case of IoT. And once it is done, then it goes to strategies, where actually what are the different particular milestones and particular approaches it is going to take to realize these goals. So let me start with the preamble. See, the Indian government has recognized that there is a phenomenon which is happening IoT. So it says that it has recognized this, and it also notices this in the digital space. Digital space would mean the internet and the mobile space and all. So they have noticed that the IoT is the latest entrant to this. So we had this IT revolution in the 90s and 2000, and India turned out to be one of the software king in the world. So that was called IT space. Similarly, now we are moving to digital space, and many of the Indian schemes like Aadhaar cards and all things actually are going to happen there. So Indian government has recognized this, and it also recognizes IoT as a interplay of software, telecom, and other industries. That means it also recognizes the locus standi of this phenomenon IoT and how it is going to affect the entire industrial spectrum. And IoT is a technology which can start small and grow big. What it means is you can start installing some small devices of IoT on your car or your fridge or in your garden. But another way is actually, so you can also build an entire city based on IoT devices. And that such a city which is based on IoT technologies for the benefiting the citizens is called smart city. And it has been noticed that smart cities are going to be a very good solution for some of the problems like Indian population. And if you look at this, you see that why India needs a smart city. By 2030, it is expected that 340 million people will be living in cities. Now, we have experience of living in cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi and all. There are fairly congested, traffic jams are there. There is a chronic shortage for basic necessities like water and all. So all this is happening because the progress of those cities and planning are not going hand in hand. But if you have been using the smart city idea, probably it is possible to a certain extent that you can plan for the optimal uses of resources and build a town where people can live comfortably. And the question comes, what are smart cities? These are the cities which are technology driven. So that means from the bottom up, technology plays an important role in this. And they are planned properly. They are planned for the expected population and expected traffic density, expected utilities which are needed. Okay, to improve the standards of living. By standards of living, like suppose you finish your classwork, college work at 5 o'clock, you should be taking another 3 hours to reach your home. So that is not a good kind of a life. So this IoT implemented might help us. And how Indian government is approaching? It is planning to build 100 smart cities across India. And for this, there is a huge investment is needed that you can be seen on the right side. Okay. So with the advent of Internet of Things, actually, there is a demand for intelligent industry solutions. For example, whenever industry grows, it will actually create a range of solutions. For example, IT, when it came into existence, it created a revolution in which actually many companies like Infosys, Wipro and all this started. Similarly, when IoT gets starts getting implemented in a large scale, it will create a big industrial value chain. And the numbers are staggering. Over a period of time, in few years, the number of IoT devices would cross a limit of about billions of this. So India would like to take advantage of this. So whenever you take an advantage of an industrial revolution, it will increase your prosperity. So India don't want to miss this. And towards this, actions have been already taken. In fact, in next week, there is a conference in New Delhi, which is dealing all the issues concerned with the smart city aspects, like how do we go about building it, how many cities we should be building, all those things are considered in this. So Indian government, in fact, is very active in that. It has planned to build 100 cities, for which the Indian government has already allocated about 7,000 crores. So India's smart project, actually, according to the budget which is published, which is presented in the parliament recently, so there will be going to be about 6,000 crores for the building these cities. And probably you know that when the Modi, our current Prime Minister, was actually a Chief Minister of Gujarat, he had started developing this smart city in Gujarat much earlier, around 2008 and 9 only, and this has actually already become functional. So what are the key aspects of smart city? Smart city would include everything like smart parking, and we all know in a town, finding a parking space when you go for marketing is a big thing. Similarly, energy continuous supply is a big thing. So if you go for smart city approaches, and with the inclusion of IoT in that, the chances of building such a better city is more. What are the key features of Modi's 100 smart cities? Automatic traffic signal, completely managed by a software, and better public transport facilities, and data centers. That is the important thing. Today, the prime feature of this one, actually, a data center. The moment you have a data, you can take a good decision. Today, the data is actually scattered across different. For example, suppose you are talking about a city like Bangalore, traffic information with some other agencies, and the population data is with another agency, and so on and so forth. Smart city would actually avoid that. And it will also include what is known as face identification system and catch criminals. And this is going to be a control room to control any kind of illegality. All will be helped. So the whole point is this: IoT is giving you a chance to build a different infrastructure, whether it's a smart building or a smart city, which will help you to improve the quality of life. Another aspect of this IoT is actually it will help you to automate certain things. See, one of the key reasons for industrialization is that if there is a manual work, it should be done by a machine, and if it is done by a machine, it should be automated. So IoT being very smart in that, because all IoT gives a capability of sensing and responding to environmental changes. Automation will happen in kind of agriculture, health services, and others. In addition to that, there is a component of communication in this all IoT. For example, IoT devices installed across different locations actually must communicate with each other. So when the communication comes, it actually helps this telecom operators. Means it will create another business opportunity for this telecom operators. And IoT actually will happen in 3 stages. There is the first stage in which sensors will collect data from the environment. They will collect temperature, they will connect the intensity of humidity, and so on and so forth. And application which collects this and which will start monitoring that, and a decision can be made. So the beauty of IoT is actually, it comes from the fact that they are capable of sensing and responding. And if you look at the history, there are 3 stages which happened. In the 19th century, during the industrialization, we were building machines which can do work. For example, if it was done manually, now machine was doing in the 19th century. In the 20th century, with the introduction of these electronic devices and computers, we were teaching machine how to think. So from asking them to do things, we are actually making them to think. And in the 21st century, we are teaching machines how to sense and respond. So this is the 3rd stage. This itself will create a new opportunity. While Indian actually government is following this draft policy, it also noticed that there are major countries in the world like United States, South Korea, and China. They have taken advantage of this IoT. So learning from their lessons, getting inspired from them, because those are the countries which have been always successful in certain service in sectors. Okay, India has taken care of this also. And finally, it also has identified the different stakeholders. It says citizens are stakeholders because that will improve. For example, whenever you build a smart city and you make it easier for people to live there, then citizen is one of the intended and actually resultant stakeholder. And the government, of course, is the stakeholder. And the academia and the industry. That is because academia will get much more research opportunities, and then the industry will get more products to produce and increase its footprint. So For example, it will also look at participation of collaboration of each of the stakeholder in appropriate stage. For example, at this juncture, we require promotion of IoT and selection of essential domains and emphasis on building what data services will the citizen need. For example, if it's a generation, I mean, if the people of 1 to 16 years are there, then they need all data services which are related to education. If there is a farmer, they need information about weather forecasting and other things. Similarly, this is also a central question which government is looking at. And finally, in the preamble, it also talks about the collaboration. So Indian government has realized that IoT is such a phenomenon, it cannot do it alone. It needs the collaboration of industry, academia, and even the global partners. Global partners. Okay. So in the preamble, what Indian government has done is the recognition of this phenomenon, and actually seizing that opportunity and to go forward. In this, actually, it has done certain activities. Now, the second thing that it has done is actually defining this one. See, according to the draft, IoT is a seamless connected network of embedded objects. So seamless means the traditional internet gets connected to the IoT. And embedded objects, embedded means, embedded systems are those in which a computing device actually is inside, like a mobile device. Okay. With identifiers, that means each device which is connected to is identified uniquely. And in IoT, this is done using what is known as IP number. Okay. And which will, without human intervention, this is a very crucial important in IoT. So it is replacing a human individual. So you don't have to go out in the field to find whether there is a rain or not. You don't have to go out and find out whether there is enough temperature in the field. All this is done by sensing devices. Okay. And this will be done using a standard and interoperable. Standards are done because anything that has to be done at a national or a global level must have a standards. So that actually different manufacturers can develop components so that can be used. And they must be interoperable. That means one system working on, one function working on a particular system should be able to done on the another one also. Now that the Indian government has a preamble and a definition, it also has a vision. That means what is that Indian government or India want to achieve using this? That's called vision. The vision is to develop connected, secure, and smart IoT systems for our country's economy, society, environment, and global needs. So what I am going to develop a connected system which is secure. That means people should trust in that. And it should be smart enough. That means you shouldn't be asking human labor to get it done. And why I'm doing this? I'm doing it for the Indian economy, Indian society, environment, and global needs. So now I have my definition made, visions made clear, and preamble. Now I'll be looking at my objective. That means what Indian government is doing about, intent to achieve. The first one is actually to create an IoT industry in India, which is of 15 billion by 2020. So what is the industrial projection is that by 2020, the market will be 15 billion. And India would like to have 5 to 6% of this. See at the last slide, India would like to have say 5 to 6% of this billion, so that would create a kind of an economic street for the Indian scenario. The second objective is to undertake capacity development. That means now that this new phenomenon happening, we need different technologies, we need different skills, we need actually also different kind of infrastructure. So it will also expect you to undertake capacity building. Capacity building is a process in which you have the skills, infrastructure ready to take advantage of that one. And it also says IoT specific skills. What it means, IoT also needs, for example, how to manufacture them, how to repair them, how to install them. That's a different kind of a game. We have to prepare for that. For example, in the IT space, we wanted to help people how to program. Now we want to have additional skills for this. And third one is actually we have to undertake research and development for all the assisting technologies. IoT is actually a central theme, but there are many technologies like robotic and all which might help a lot in that. For example, image processing may help. So the Indian government policy document also takes care of that. And next one is actually also develop products specific to Indian needs. See, IoT is a generic technology. See, for example, when mobile were designed for the Western countries, and they were always power hungry and all. But when Nokia wanted to enter Indian government, Indian market, they come out with such a very effective method of charging a mobile in the earlier stages. Even a ruler, once charged, it can run for 2 or 3 days, because they knew that in India, the village market or rural market is big enough. So similarly, whenever we want to develop an IoT device, what we are planning to do is actually we have to design this in specific for the Indian government. Now we look into the strategies. Any questions at this point in time? Any questions of this, sir?
No, sir.
Yes.
Hello, any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Hello? No questions, I'll proceed. So now fifth point is actually strategies. So the policy framework of the IoT policy has the following approaches. It says it wanted to develop demonstration centers. So whenever a new technology comes, to make realize people that this is very useful and can be used in their day-to-day way, you have to demonstrate, because for them, people have to see something in action before they would adapt. So the Indian government has decided to start demonstration centers. Now, I already told you capacity building and incubation. If there is a novel idea in the context of IoT, they would have to support. They would like to support in the form of incubation, and they also want to conduct R&D and innovation activities so that we can take a lead in the international market. And they also develop human resources. For example, they want to include this in the education process. They want to include this in the research process. So demonstration and domain-specific application. So one of the first things that Indian government is planning is to identify the different, for example, what are the agricultural applications for which IoT can be used. So that applications they are planning to develop. Second one, they want to also develop some 100 smart cities, because when people start seeing the implications of IoT on a large scale like cities and all, then they will be convinced. And more and more government, more and more people would like to have that. So they also want to develop a smart city and take it further. And when they build a smart city, it would be looking like this. And you know, if you have been following newspaper, India has been planning to build some hundreds smart cities spread across India. And this map, it's not very clear. I'll show you this. Those are the locations which have been selected for smart city. For example, for in my home state of Karnataka, there are 7 identified smart cities to be built. The next one is actually smart water. See, today water is a very important thing, and there are many predictions that if there is a war in the future, it will be about water, not anything else. Okay. Now, the smart water is also part of this. Indian government document policy says that IoT will be also implemented for smart water things. Smart water, when it is done, it will give you a different look at this, different cities, different what waste kind of waste management. Smart environment. Smart environment is one in which you have deployed many IoT devices which will help you to collect information and take decision. For example, if you are installed on a traffic, a very intense traffic this one, then the degree of pollution or degree, the amount of toxic gas that generated will be indicated by this. Smart hills is another application where IoT is going to play an important role. Smart waste management. Today, if you see the garbage collection in the major cities, it's a big havoc. See, entire municipal corporations are struggling to do that. So this will be helping you a lot. Say, for example, if you look at the last line, so you can always build an IoT device which alerts the sanitation crews of multiple authorities when it is full. You don't get that bad smell and all because somebody has not moved it. Smart agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of India, and IoT is one of the great tools which can actually help people, including government, farmers, and all, to do many of the things automated way and many of the things in a more intelligent and efficient way. Smart safety, because now Indian population is aging. What it means is more and more they need support because the children will be away. IoT can come out with certain solution, and the Indian document policy has taken care of this, then building smart safety for more people. Smart supply chain logistics. In supply chain is a big thing because many times we actually find shortage of certain items. Recently in Karnataka we had a shortage of supply in the petrol because there was some problem with the Mangalore harbor. Why did it happen? Because the supply chain was not efficiently or optimized. So this kind of a solution problems can be overcome if you are using the smart technology or IoT. Smart manufacturing is used in many countries like Korea and all, which will not only increase your efficiency, it will also increase the productivity levels of the participant people. And the second thing that the Indian government would like to do is incubation and capacity building. So institution, there will be 15 academic or institutions will be identified. They will be given money to actually establish technology and to use as a test beds. Implementing IoT testbed, heterogeneous legacy, and possible new types of devices. So it will be money will be pumped in to see whether these institutions can come out with a new devices which can be connected to legacy systems and also to do new things. And the policy also says that support IoT experiments and research community. If more and more people are interested in this, there are fundings which are going to help them. Okay, semantic technologies. Unlike the internet, where actually only computers get connected to each other, in the IoT sector, there are diversity of devices to be connected. It could be a fridge, it could be a car, it could be a temperature thermometer, and so on and so forth. So now, in order to create a kind of a dialogue between them, we have to make a system which is semantic. Semantic means which can be understood by different technologies. And the scientific community, the departments, the discipline like mathematics, science, biology and all, they can also use IoT in different things. So Indian government document also looks at it, says that there are any ways which it can explore and help them. This already I told you, facilitate IoT innovation, enhancing impacts and define necessary standards for that. Use IoT to the benefit of citizens and society. Ultimately, any government would be like to do any initiative to help its citizens. This angle has also been probed by the Indian government. And it also would like to create awareness program for individual students. In fact, if you have been following my seminars, webinars, this is actually one of the intention is to create awareness about IoT and all. So they are also planning some workshops and demonstrations. And also to incubation centers. Incubation centers are actually a place where actually a very idea in the initial stages needs support that is given by the government. And they also would like to build a center of excellence. Center of excellence is a place where actually the cutting edge technologies of a particular domain are tested. And the Indian government, looking at the industry, economic implications of IoT, would like to help startups and other institutions which are planning to connect their engineering education with the industrial setups. And under the scheme, 5 centers of 40-seater capacity. They would like to establish 5 centers in which 40 people can come together, either for education or for the experimentation or for testing. So any questions, sir, at this point of time?
No, sir.
So any, yes, sir?
No questions, sir.
Hello? Okay. So this is now, if any phenomenon of a national scale must have a standard. If they don't have a standard, then it's very difficult to carry your solution to another place. So Indian government, this policy document also recognizes this. While there are efforts at the national level for actually establishing standards, this is also looking at that. So what they say is they have established some relevant nodal organizations which will take care of this particular standard issues. And these are the things that they would like to take: IoT standardization, standards for energy consumption, because normally any electronic device will come with a specification that this needs this much power, this must be the voltage and all. They also would like to have this for IoT devices. They are planning to establish a national expert committee to understand and implement this. And these are the different technologies. See, if you have seen my earlier webinar on IoT research direction, that was a webinar I gave before this, you will find out these are the technologies we are identified with where there is a lot of research potential. And the committee is also provide technical and financial assistance for patenting. Today, intellectual property rights are a big theme because that is where money is built in or money is created. For that reason, IoT related patenting is also supported financially and through other means by the Indian government. And innovation and development right? So they want to identify core members for the R&D. For example, we have a national biological, national IoT center for excellence, and that way. So one of the way they would like to is the international IoT research collaboration scheme. They want to actually not only use the Indian potential, they also would like to contact other organizations like global institutions, and we would like to develop what is known as international IoT research collaboration scheme with other countries. And this is what actually a student will get or a faculty will get. See, for example, you can start a joint project or a JV venture with Indian government where they actually give up to 50% of the investment. The ISOs will also disperse fund to IoT industry. If there is an industrial proposal, they will actually fund them. And if there is a proposal from an education institution, then also they would support it. And now we will look at the incentives and engagement. Okay. To promote venture funds, what they are doing is actually if you are investing in any, if you have come out with an industry or a technological or research process for developing a memory processor or sensor technologies which are needed for IoT, the government will give you a venture funds. And to launch a program to be driven existing new and societies, for example, now we have Computer Society of India to promote computer aspects in India. Similarly, it is possible that somebody will actually, Indian government will actually help us to establish a society for IoT. And when you want to develop an industry, then you have to have some import and export policies. So what Indian government says is, if you are importing a technology which is needed for developing IoT industry in India, there will be a lot of tax exemption, duty exemption, custom exemptions, and so on and so forth. Okay. And to support participation, and we have a movement called Made in India. That means the current government is proposing and actually supporting any initiative which will create a manufacturing capacity for India. So if you are developing any IoT related manufacturing in India, then government will support you in tune with global trends. And if there are international expos or exhibitions and all, the government will support any inventor or any industry who have come out with a product, and it will bear the expenses of the shops and the exhibition space. And Indian government is also offering some incentives for IoT products in its MCP policy, that is manufacturing policy, which is independent initiative. And not only that, there is a kind of a protection for the Indian manufacturer who are developing IoT related things. That means if there is an export equivalent to that or import equivalent, that will not be given a preference. If it's an Indian manufactured item, that will be given manufacturer. For example, if the government want to buy many items, then they will give a preference to an Indian manufacturer. And they also would like to develop the relevant changes in the telecom policy. Today, the professional organizations like ACM, IEEE actually are very creative and very collaborative in bringing together researches and all. So the Indian government would like to have a separate wing for IoT world so that they will be looking out the specific requirements of the IoT. And we are also planning to develop a scheme so that if you develop any product and all, they can be showcased at international audiences. Okay. And to create methods and generate insistent awareness. That means they want to do a continuous process, for example, through Indian radio. Actually, the deep level awareness is created at every level of across the population. And finally, in order to achieve all this, human resources is the most important thing, and Indian government is also taken care of this and developing many things towards this. So what it is doing is, it is doing an IoT education awareness program in the country. Every participant or every person can actually take advantage of this. The first thing that is doing is introduction of IoT curriculum at different level. For example, if you are an engineering college running a BTech, and if you want to introduce a new course on IoT, that is actually promoted by the Indian government. Either it could be MTech, and in fact, personally, I myself is introducing one course on IoT in my institution here in SDMCT Dharwad. And it is also increasing in creating opportunities for certificate courses. So, for example, there are many job-oriented IoT courses which can be framed and delivered or conducted. For that, actually, it gives accreditation. Awareness programs, like it would actually try to publish articles on leading journals and also it would like to develop audio, video material for awareness through social media. One of the example is the IUCE seminar webinars that I am giving. This kind of a participation, if you are willing to do, they will be going to help you. And it also would like to invite experts. If there is an educational institution in which there is a researcher working on IoT, it would like to invite him and put it into a national panel. And support faculty and students for participation in global and academic conferences presenting paper related to IoT. If you have an idea and your paper is published or selected in international conference, they don't mind giving you money for that. They also want to create a fellowship. That means fellowships are there. Actually, you can be a resident fellow in a very prestigious institution like IIT and all, and participate that. That is also taken care. And you will look at the bottom line there. It is going to support 150 students in this category. Things like Young Scientist Awards. Similarly, for in IoT sector, they are actually planning this kind of a thing where actually it will identify an upcoming young scholar and young faculty who can actually connect between industry and academia. Human resources development. Here actually, I told you there are 3 stages in this. You want to develop a skill set so that you can have an industrial workforce which can participate in IoT. You also have an academic fraternity who are good in research and concepts of IoT, who can teach and prepare people for the work. And also third one, the same people who have certification and participate at different. For example, there may be a certificate person who needed to certify certain things whether they are usable or not. So all this is taken care by this one. And to draw together and form a panel of experts from academia, government and industry and research. What it actually means is government is also pushing to bring people together so that actually the bringing their experience and the knowledge can help to grow this particular area. Okay, here is a reference. This is the one which actually I used. So any question at this point of time? Sridhar?
How would the incubation centers be funded?
Pardon, sir?
How would the incubation centers be funded?
Okay, see, there is a scheme actually. If you look at the website address of Indian government's Department of Electronics, then they have actually published that. So that if you, it's a 17 pages document. In one of the pages, you will find whom to approach and what is the amount they give and what are the formalities associated with that.
Sir, will these slides be available for us for reference, and where can we download them?
These slides, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is available. Actually, I upload into SlideShare, and you can read them. You can read them. And if any you particular is wanted this for them, you can send me an email. I will send the link which is there on SlideShare.
Okay, sir.
All my previous presentation PPTs are available on SlideShare. I will share that address to you shortly.
Is there already any syllabus in MTech level?
Yeah, I have developed a syllabus for my college, which is under consideration from Board of Studies, which will be released within a week's time. So once the formal it is done, then I can share with you. That's one thing. But different institutions across different part of the world already started offering these courses. So if you want to link, I can send you. And here is the link actually. Look at this link. This link on this page. If you see here, on the left side of this page, you will find different courses offered by IoT from different institutions. And if you want to see my videos earlier, you can see it here. And presentations, I can certainly share you. That is, they are on the SlideShare. I will send an email to you, linking that one. Any other question?
Yes. Are smart cities the only manifestation of IoT?
What is that?
Are smart cities the only manifestation of IoT?
Ah, yes, sir. See, IoT can be used at different level. For example, I can have an IoT device in my home or in my campus. But it is also possible that you can integrate IoT into everything that you do while building a city. So smart city is actually manifestation where about majority of the works are done by either through IoT or IoT enabled devices. So in that sense, yes, smart city is a manifestation of IoT at a very grand level called city.
No more questions.
Yes, sir.
No more questions, sir. You can continue.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Is there any research journal particular to IoT?
Is there any research?
Journal.
Yeah, there are IoT research journals. I can share with you. If you shoot me an email, because there are 5-6 journals which I mean regularly refer, so I can do that one. Definitely, I will send that one. So kindly shoot an email. I will do that for you, sir.
Okay, sir. That was all the questions, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the audience. Thank you, Sridhar.
Thank you, sir.